Good morning, everyone. It is Friday morning. The sun is shining and we have got 1, 2, 3 bags of garbage and a mess out front that we got to take care of. Thanks for bearing with me on that. It's a process. You've got your daily routine. You've got all this stuff going on. We just got back from vacation. We went to Yellowstone National Park. The Jeep did great. We put 2,245 miles on this thing round trip and it ran wonderfully. For some reason on the way there, as Julie and I and the kids were going, I didn't have any concerns. I was just thinking, this is great. We're taking the old Jeep Liberty out on vacation all the way out to Yellowstone. It's almost 14 hours away from us. But on the morning that we were coming back, we were packing up stuff. We started it up. When you rebuild a motor or when you really know your vehicle, you're always listening to it. It's kind of, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. And I'm listening to it and it sounds fine. But for some reason, I'm just having this anxious feeling that it's going to break down on the way home, and then we're going to have to decide how we're going to get it shipped back. You know, AAA, we got AAA, they'll take us 200 miles. We can't ride in the vehicle with them as they haul it. Thankfully, it didn't break down. Went through Billings, Montana. We stopped at a Costco there. We got some little ice cream treats, and it was really good. What a nice trip. Beautiful country. If you get a chance to get out there to Yellowstone National Park, it is really neat. We stayed right by Gardner. Kind of a cool little town, touristy, good coffee shop. So you guys have been seeing something in the background for the last few videos, and I did something that I would say almost no one should ever do. There are some, yes, and some of you are on the channel here. And I got a smile on my face, and you know why? Because we bought this 2006 Jeep Liberty CRD from a dealership. It was the last one that I had seen for a year that was for sale at a dealership. I'm sure there's more out there, but this was on cars.com. And when they first listed it, they wanted $9,200 for this. And I gotta tell you, it is one of the cleanest Liberties that I've seen compared to Dad's, which is out there in the field now, and ours underneath, which has a little bit of rust on it. It came from Minnesota. But this one, just look at this. It is, boy, it's just nice. And if I took you underneath, I'd better do that. Got a little bit of an oil leak coming down, maybe off the valve covers, something like that. But you come down here and it just looks very nice. I don't know if you've seen that dead mouse down there. Crystal's always bringing dead mice into the garage. Every day. They're everywhere. You got to watch your step out here. There's Crystal bringing in those mice. So we bought this Jeep about 3 weeks ago now. I haven't done much to it actually. It came off the trailer. It was running. I noticed when they tried to start it off the trailer, the starter just clicked a little bit, but then it actually kicked in and it ran. We drove it into the yard here. Nice and slowly. It was idling just fine. I shut it off, and as soon as I went to start it up to give my wife a ride in it, it wouldn't start, wouldn't crank, nothing. And if you know these vehicles, Jeeps, Plymouths, Dodge, Chryslers from about 1995 to 2007, pop in here, 221,000 miles. These have an issue. Turn it to the run position. Now I'm going to go to start real quick. It does not fire up. So I got a part for that somewhere in here. Where in the world did I put it? Here it is. Just dormant. This is the ignition actuator. It's got a little pin in there. It's kind of made out of pop metal, something like that, and it breaks. So we're going to install this, not today, but it's coming up in a video. I want to show you guys how to do that, just in case you have any one of those vehicles. There's a lot of them. But back to the Jeep here. So we knew when we were going to buy it, we were going to get it with issues because it went from $9,200, that's not what we spent on it, went from $9,200 down to $8,700 down to $7,200, and it kept going down by about $400 or $500 a month. I said, well, if it's available, you say a year from now, and they want under $4,000 for it, which will never happen, then we'll buy it. About 4 weeks ago now, I looked on it, it was down to $3,900, and I told Julie, I said, I think we should probably call on it, but we're not going to drive this thing back home. It was for sale in Colorado, which is a long ways away. It's 11 hours plus away from us. And it's just too much to ship. It was going to be $1,200 to ship. So you're looking at $5,100 for a Jeep that you know is going to have problems. And as a Jeep CRD owner, I can tell you, these things have problems, and once they have problems, if it's not a typical suspension thing or a rear end issue or something that's common to the Jeep Liberties in general, the gassers, your mechanic's not going to want to work on it, unfortunately. A week later, Julie looked on their website and they had lowered it from $3,900 to $3,500. So once it got down to $3,500, I started looking real closely at this 2006. That one's a 2006, this one's a 2006. Sorry about the wind noise out here. And you can see all the things with this one. Radiator hose is plugged right there, turbo hose is plugged right there, so nothing gets in there. It's taken apart. Open this up right now. The engine has a blown head gasket at the least, possibly a cracked head. Interior has been cleaned up a little bit. It's tore apart right now. But the reason I decided, you know what, we got to buy it is because of this right down here. There is so much rust under here. This is actually the good side. And this side right here is the bad side. This is totally gone. This is ready to fall off. It's just bad. We should do something. But not today. So at $3,500, I thought about it for about 2 days. And I was going to work. We need a second vehicle. Julie said, I think you should call on the black Jeep. And I just called him and I said, I'd like to buy that black Jeep that you have listed for $3,500. I'll take it. But I said, first, you know, does it run? Does it drive? Does it have tires that hold air? And the guy said, well, it does run. It drives. The tires are holding air. But have you looked at it on site? And I said, no, I haven't looked at it. We're about 11 hours away. And he said, well, it's a diesel. And I was thinking, yep, that's why I'm calling on it. He said, it's been deleted, so it won't pass inspection here. See, I don't want to take advantage of anybody. You know, they might have, I don't know how much they spent at auction on this thing because they got it from an auction. Hopefully they didn't spend more than $1,500 to $2,000 on it because I don't want them to lose a bunch of money. But when he said, well, it's deleted, it doesn't pass inspection, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my, because I was happy to hear that it was deleted for the fact that we're not going to be overheating those exhaust valves or building up soot in the intake on the valves. You know what I'm talking about. So I said, okay, I will take it. So I said, okay, he's gonna have a guy give me a call, just a little bit. Pop the hood here. I got a call on this. I took the engine cover off. It's right over here because I've just been looking at this here. Nothing's taken apart up here. I'll tell you why the tire's off. But I got a call on it and the guy said, okay, you know, it's a diesel, it's been deleted, it won't pass inspection. We've had a hard time getting it to start up. The battery was so dead we could hardly get it to start up. If the batteries are dead on these, you know that they're hard to start. You gotta actually have a battery that's good. So he put it on the charger, he started it up, called me back a few hours later. He says it starts and runs nicely. I think you're gonna be really happy with this. I said, okay, well, I'll definitely take it. And he said, okay, $3,500, that's what it's going to be. And he actually sold the vehicle to us for $3,150. That way, with the processing fee, it came out to $3,500 even. So thank you so much for doing that, guys. $3,150 out the door. I felt a lot better about that than $3,500 because I have to pay shipping for it. So we worked out shipping. And when we got it here, I thought personally it looked great. No rust. And although the paint's not perfect, it's dirty, it's black, everything looked great for a Jeep Liberty CRD for $3,150. That's going to have problems. But here's why we bought it, because that Liberty right there, it was due for the scrap pile. You know, it had a cracked head, but then we've had our experiences where we buy a used vehicle. We bought that 2012 Volkswagen TDI with the 2.0. It has got a leaky EGR, it's got an oil cooler issue, we believe, and it may have a blown head gasket. So to take that apart, I'm gonna need special tools, gotta put a new timing kit in it, gotta put a new water pump in it, all that type of stuff. And it's gonna be expensive. It's like a $5,000 job if I take that to a shop to replace the head gasket on that car. Nice car, but we would rather go with this, knowing that it's gonna have issues because we can fix it, we can save on the labor, we know what we got. Gotta ask you guys a question. So for your car, or if you're looking to buy a used car, would you be open, if you're going to buy a used car, would you be open to looking up the common problems online? Just looking up small things, like if you're going to buy a 2007 GMC, whatever it might be, how to change a thermostat on it. If the head gasket goes out, how much it costs, or how to change the head gasket. When to replace timing kit. How hard is it to replace the spark plugs? But if you're open to that, you can pretty much pick out any vehicle you want that you can afford, of course. Would never encourage anybody to spend more than they can afford. But then if you have issues with it, you're going to know, okay, I paid a certain amount for this, which I'm good with, and I can fix it, which is a wonderful feeling. You buy these new vehicles, you can hardly work on them unless you got a shop with a lift. You got to take the engine out of some Fords just to replace one of the thermostats. I don't know if they have multiple, but there's definitely one thermostat where you got to take the cab off, and then you have to take the engine out because it sits right next to the frame, so you can't replace the thermostat. I can replace the thermostat on that Jeep in about 15 minutes. What a joy, right? I spend 10 bucks and I have two, I think they're 12 millimeter bolts, and I can replace the thermostat and move on with my day and know I'm going to be good for another 50,000 miles, potentially. I don't know how long they're supposed to last. So right before our trip, I had an issue. I was working on the CV axle, which is right in here. This side actually is the passenger side, and on these Jeep Liberties, I don't know what type your vehicle has. It probably has a CV axle, you know, if it's a front wheel drive vehicle, or maybe it's a rear wheel drive like this, or four wheel drive. It'd have to be a four wheel drive if you got a CV axle in the front, of course, unless it's a two wheel drive car. But anyways, I digress. I'm taking the CV axle out, but to get that out, I have to take off the sway bar end link, and the bolt that goes through that bushing is just completely seized into that bushing. And I am thinking we got to go to Rapid City today. I know they're not going to have the part available on this thing, so I gave it the beans with the big 1/2 inch Milwaukee impact, and it didn't move it. Unreal. So I grabbed the breaker bar out, completely ruined the bushing because I caused it to spin inside the sway bar link. I ended up having to grind off to cut the bolt to get it out. So I have a sway bar link here somewhere. This is actually a ball joint, which is right there, which we don't need at the moment, but we're going to put them on the green Jeep. I ended up taking it off of the black Jeep, which was painful, but I thought, you know what? Thank you, Lord, for having this vehicle here to take the sway bar end link off, and it came off completely easy. You only torque those things down to like 60 foot-pounds, maybe 80 foot-pounds. Can't quite remember at this point, but it's not much. I've been talking you guys' ear off. I don't normally do this, but I feel like I'm getting to know some of you pretty well. So just sharing the real life experience here. Open it up on the inside. It looks pretty clean. Passenger seats are always going to be in better condition than your driver's seat, right? Driver's seat has a little repair that was needed. Somebody did it. It looks fine by me. This one is the limited, of course. So is that one out there. That is an 05. I called it an 06 in one of the last videos. Sorry about that. It's an 05. This is an 06. This one came with the RB1 factory radio with navigation, CD. The gas struts are wore out. This one has a 6-disc CD changer in the back. Not that those are really used anymore. We're going to put the cargo cover in there. Here's a rear view. You got to take the plastic off yet, but the seats look good in here. One of the reasons these Jeeps are so underrated is because of this right here. You got your 2-wheel drive, you got your 4-wheel drive part-time that you use if you're going through some deep snow or you're on some ice and you're going real slow. But the 4-wheel drive full-time right here, that is the winner. 65, 75, 85 miles an hour down the road. You're just fine in full-time 4-wheel drive. Come on down. Good kitty. We decided to take this out on a trip. We were going to take it 20 miles into town. Told Julie, I said, I can jump it here. Long story short, I took the fuse box cover off and I jumped the starter. It fired up, it ran. It was coming up to engine temp, or running temp. We got a mile down the road with it and it just started shaking. A dead miss. It's a 4-cylinder, 2.8 liter turbo diesel, as many of you know, but some of you might not. And one of the cylinders was just a dead miss. And there wasn't any check engine light that came on. We were able to crawl it back home, and I let it sit for probably about 4 hours. I started it up again. It was idling just fine. So I think we're going to start off by changing our fuel filter right here. Here's the fuel filter head. It does not have pressure, so that could potentially be an issue. Perhaps the fuel filter head is cracked, or the fuel filter here, it actually looks pretty old. Looks dirty. Should replace them every season probably. Once a year at least, in my opinion. You've got these CP3 pumps that are pretty forgiving, but you don't want to get debris in there. You don't want to cause them to be sucking really hard. These Jeeps don't have a lift pump in the tank. Some of them did, but you'd have to put them in there. There'd be an upgrade. Otherwise, it just sucks straight from the tank in the back all the way up front, just with that one pump right up here. This grill isn't put in all the way. It's hanging out in the back. Fog lights are there. This light right here needs to be replaced because it's fogged up. And looking in here, we've got a bunch of upgrades to do. We've got to upgrade the alternator from Anchor Motor Works. We've got to upgrade the fan, put the heavy duty GM 11 blade plastic fan in. We've got to put the severe duty fan clutch from GM in. We've got to upgrade this thermostat right here so it's a serviceable one. You can get that from Robert Diz. This is all possible by Jeep Liberty CRD group on Facebook. We don't have any head gasket issues at the moment, but I think we're going to end up doing, I don't know when it's going to be, guys, but we're going to end up doing a step-by-step video on how to replace the head gasket on this and do the timing kit, all of that. Plus, we've got a kind of a cool surprise coming up. I'm working on upgrading the serpentine belt system, and we're gonna do a video on that as soon as I figure it out. I gotta save up here a little bit. We're on a budget out here, but we're gonna try to get that serpentine belt system to where you can go 100,000 miles, maybe with exception of the belt, if I can't find a belt that's rated for that. If you don't own a Jeep CRD, I would like to encourage you today to learn about your vehicle. You can do it. You don't need a lot of tools. I've got 2 toolboxes right now. That's because I've been saving up and I bought one. I remember when I bought that one, I saved up, I bought this one. It took a while. It's been like, you gotta save for a year to buy a toolbox, and I'm hoping to be able to get a third one just so I can stay more organized, but I didn't even have a power drill 7 years ago. Started off with getting a drill, little toolbox. I had gotten away from working on stuff, but now I was able to buy the vehicle that we wanted, even though it may not be desirable to some. And this thing is going to be very reliable for us, and I don't have to dread about it breaking down. If it breaks down, we're going to be able to fix it. I know the common things that might fail, so I've got them in the back of the green Jeep just in case they go out and we're away from home. Sometimes those nice cars with all the gadgets and gizmos, they're nice, but then you're driving around, you're thinking, I hope this doesn't ever break down, because we might not be able to afford to take it to the shop to have them fix it, and we can't do it, right? Now with that Volkswagen out there, I can fix that, but I don't want to buy special tools. I hope the head gasket's not out. I can fix the EGR hose. I got to go underneath without a lift, get all that stuff replaced. I mean, we paid $9,500 for that car, and it was supposed to be a 9 out of 10 car, and it has problems. The air conditioning doesn't work well. The HVAC system, as far as air coming through the fence, doesn't work well, and all the actuators are testing out good. It's like muffled and it feels musty in there. And then here's the old green Jeep with 304,000 miles on it right now, with the dent in the hood and a little bit of rust on the doors. This thing just keeps going and going. Like I said, guys, you know, if you have a vehicle, if it is used, that's okay. And if it's not a desirable vehicle, that is also okay. If your vehicle is able to be fixed cheaply by a mechanic, or you're able to do the work on it and the parts are readily available and not very expensive, then congratulations, you are winning the day. You know that just to replace the battery on the Volkswagen out there, the dealership wanted $600 to replace the battery. I replaced it for $200 myself. They say you got to program it. I didn't. Some of the newer cars past 2012, you have to program the battery or you will damage something. There's a very good chance that you will. Or you can just get an older vehicle that nobody wants. Nobody's willing to buy this. It was deleted, of course, so that went in my favor. We don't have inspections here in South Dakota. That's enough rambling for today, but we got a journey ahead of us with this, and I'm going to take you through the process of buying a car, sight unseen. It doesn't start right now unless I jump the starter, and then it doesn't run down the road either. It went a mile and it broke down to where I had to crawl it back. But you see, I still got a smile on my face. because I know that I can fix this. Saving on the labor, that's a ton. It costs $2,700 to do a timing kit in this. And now, that's only if you can find a mechanic to work on it. But when I do it myself, I did the timing kit and new rockers and ARP head studs, not on this one, but on the green one out there. And I spent like $1,500 on that. And it is ready to rock and roll down the road. Might not be the prettiest vehicle on the road or a head turner, but I tell you what, we can hop in that thing and turn the key and we can drive it. And we know, hey, we're not gonna have any huge surprises coming up, most likely anyways, unless it has a catastrophic failure in the bottom end. But run some good oil and trust the process, it'll last for a while, hopefully. From our garage to yours, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It's always good to talk with you. Have a good weekend. If you're watching this and it's not the weekend right now, I just hope you have a good day. If you've got a used car, find out how to work on it. Something simple, how to replace the thermostat, how to replace the starter. Start from wherever you are, and then you are gonna be winning, beating the inflation game. Things are expensive out there, but you got this. And thanks for being good friends. Thanks for being part of the Two Star Garage family. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.